UFC 319 is this Saturday, and we are all excited for this main event. We've been waiting for this main event for a while. Dricus du Plessis is going to face Hamza Chimaev. Before we get into that, the early prelims are fire, bro. Brian Battle versus Nursultan Ruzaboyev. Nursultan Ruzaboyev is massive, but Brian Battle is on a little bit of a resurgence in his career. Edson Barboza versus Drakkar Klose. I'm also excited for that fight. Will Onk defend the oncoming net? In the regular prelims, you got Chase Hooper. He's facing off Alexander Hernandez. That's a good fight. Jessica Andrade is always fun to watch. Gerald Meerschaert versus Mikhail Olazechuk. That's going to be a good scrap. And honestly, Gerald could just take him down and try to submit him, which is a big weakness of Mikhail. And then the feature prelim is Bobby King Green versus Diego Ferreira. I'm not calling that man King. No. That is also going to be some good firework fight right there. It's definitely going to end in a knockout. I think Diego got it. This is the tail of the tape of the main card opener. Tim Elliott will face Kai Asakura. Kai Asakura is coming off that title loss against Alejandro Pantoja. He's going to face Tim Elliott. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've not seen Tim Elliott fight in like forever. I'm surprised that man's still in the UFC. But Kai Asakura, as we all know, exciting. That flying knee that hit Pantoja in like the first minute of the fight. I think that will KO somebody like Tim Elliott. Way I'm going with this fight is I got Kai Asakura by second round KO. If not, Tim Elliott is tough. He's going to try to grapple, but I think Kai Asakura defending them takedowns, training with Marab is a big help in this fight. Now, the second fight is going to be Michael Venom Page versus Jared Cannonier, but the problem is on Google, if you look up this fight right now, it says Jacob Kilborn. Who the hell is Jacob Kilborn? Because then if you click on Jacob Kilborn's profile, you get a picture of Jared Cannonier. So I looked up, it's some like old UFC guy or like some literally just trash, irrelevant. But back to the fight. This is a battle of the unks. Michael Page is 38. That guy is old, but Jared Cannonier is even older. But the problem is, right, Jared Cannonier has been slow. He's been slowing down. He's coming off a win against Gregory Rodriguez. But in that fight, he led Gregory Rodriguez to the fourth round. I think Michael Page will outdance this guy, pretty much keep the distance, blitz in, hit him with a jab, and then blitz out, blitz back in, hit a cross, blitz back in, do like a sneaky trip, and try to just make Jared Cannonier like a fool. Now, the thing is, Michael Page can get... We've seen him in his KO loss against Diego Lima. He got leg kicked a lot, and Jared Cannonier can throw some heavy leg kicks. He finished Anderson Silva with leg kicks. But I just think Jared Cannonier is going down. It's been slow, gradual decline, but I think Michael Page will win by decision. I think, honestly, it's just going to be a staring contest for most of the fight until a big moment for Michael Page, and that will win him the first round. It'll be the same in the second. That'll win him the second round, and then in this third round, same thing, and then he'll win 30-27 is what I'm saying. Feature fight of the pay-per-view card is a banger, bro. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Now, this was originally supposed to happen, but it got pushed back. But now we get to see Carlos Prates of the Fighting Nerds return. Now, he's coming off a loss against Ian Gary, and honestly could have won that fight in the fifth round, but just some lack of finishing capability, which is kind of dumb to say because he's from the Fighting Nerds. Like, they only win by finish. Jeff Neal, now, coming off a big KO win against RDA in the first round, and that was honestly very hard to watch. He dropped RDA, and then I think he kicked RDA in the leg or something. RDA like fucked up his knee, which is really sad to see because that guy's OG onk. But yeah, Jeff Neal's coming off a win, but before that, he also lost to Ian Gary in a very lackluster, boring fight. Now, in this issue is with Jeff Neal, he's either on or he's off. He murdered Rafael dos Anjos, but then again, Rafael dos Anjos is 40 years old. But when he faced Ian Gary, he just stood there and watched him the entire time. Let that man like just outpace him with the footwork, keep the lead. Like, this is not the first time we've seen it against Stephen Thompson. Like, he let old Stephen Thompson whoop his ass. It really depends on this fight how Jeff Neal will show up, but I think Carlos Prates hits harder, and I think he will put down Jeff Neal in the third round. It might kind of look like the Shavkat fight where they're both just trading and exchanging massive blows, but I think Carlos Prates has slicker striking than this and will put down Jeff Neal. But for the love of God, do not bring in the CP chain, bro. We are not supporting that, bro. Co-main event in the evening. Lerone Murphy's going to take on Aaron Pico. He's going to welcome him in the UFC. Now, Lerone Murphy is on a massive win streak, obviously. I remember watching him in his debut. He drew with this Dagestani. Since then, he's been on fire. Now, I believe he's on an 8-fight win streak. I don't quote me on that too much right now. But Aaron Pico's coming from Bellator / the PFL, and he's going to make his debut against Lerone Murphy. Now, I have Lerone Murphy winning because Aaron Pico, there's so much hype about him. And honestly, he was going to fight Movsar Evloev. He was going to fight him like a couple weeks ago in Saudi Arabia. And I think Movsar Evloev would have easily won that fight. Now, Aaron Pico has a chance to win all these fights in his division because he has incredible power, is fast, but he's just not proven. Now, we all knew of Aaron Pico as this big prospect but even before he made his MMA debut, he was highly touted. He was wrestling to go to the Olympics. He was boxing. He was a Golden Gloves in California, Golden Glove champion in California, I believe. And then when he made his debut against somebody, I think his name was like Zach Wheeler, Zach Riedman, who knows? The point being, that guy was old and a bum, and they gave him Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico was supposed to smash and go right through this guy, and he gets guillotined in 30 seconds. Now, in his other 3 losses, he got hurt in one, but we've seen this man get put out cold in others, where he was just not ready. He's not mature enough. Now, he is like, 28, I believe? He could go on a run. He could stiff Lerone Murphy. He could go out and KO Movsar Evloev again and then destroy Alexander Volkanovski. But the problem is, we don't know that. We don't know anything about this guy because all he's been fighting. He fought my coworker before in this last fight, and he fought my fucking gas station attendant in the fight before that. Not to say that this guy is not talented, because don't get me, like, this guy, like I said, this guy could be a future champion, but I have to see the Lerone Murphy fight, and this is perfect because Lerone Murphy, whether you like to say it or not, he is a standard. He is like if you want to be something, you're going to have to beat someone like a Lerone Murphy at featherweight. That was Dan Ige, and Lerone Murphy had a very close fight with Dan Ige, but he won that fight. He destroyed Edson Barboza before that. And in a lot of others fights, he just had a technical masterclass taking him to decisions. So in this fight, I have Lerone Murphy by decision. I have to reiterate and say this again. Like, I think Aaron Pico could win this fight, but I just don't think he's going to win this fight. Just not yet. We have the main event of the evening. And it's going to be Dricus Du Plessis versus Hamza Chimaev. Now, you look at there, both 31. Now, 14-0. Remember when Hamza came onto the scene, fought 2 fights in 10 days, KO'd Jared Mearshart, a couple days later, like a month or 2 later. And then he fought the Leech, Jing Liang. Man, and this man has been so inactive, but he's been hurt a lot of the times. Now, he's been training with Olympic gold medalists. I believe he's training one of the coaches that coached one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but I'm not a wrestler, so I don't know the names. Chimaev is pretty much calling the Avengers in this fight to train with him. He has the legendary coach of training conditioning with him, the one that helped TJ Dillashaw cut down to 125. Now, was the EPO involved? Who knows? But the point being, Hamza Chimaev has been working on his issues because, as we saw in the Gilbert Burns fight and even the Kamaru Usman fight, he gassed out hard. People are overlooking, like, in those fights when he got tired, he was throwing sloppy strikes. And who throws sloppy strikes? Dricus Du Plessis. This man Dricus is an anomaly. Now, I've been supporting this guy since his debut, and then when he beat the KO Trevin Giles, I said this man's definitely going to do something in the middleweight. And then when he beat Darren Till, I said this man's going to win the belt. When they booked him with Robert Whitaker, I believe I was the only one in my friend group and the only one in my entire training gym saying, like, yo, Dricus is going to KO Robert Whitaker and then beat Israel Adesanya. So I am biased with this because I've been supporting Dricus for a while. As you can tell on my shirt, I got the South Africa jersey on. But that doesn't change the fact that I have Dricus Du Plessis winning via 4th round KO. I think if he survives the first round, which I think he will, Usman survived. I think Hamza is going to win a dominant first round, but in the second round, it's going to be like back and forth. And then in the third and fourth, he better pray Dricus it's not there because Dricus is going to hurt this man bad. And I mean bad. I think Dricus Du Plessis is going to survive the first round and put an absolute beating on Hamza because this man is the biggest and the strongest person Hamza has ever fought. He's not fighting some 155er that went up to 170. He's fighting a person that could very well fight at 205. So in this fight, I have Dricus Du Plessis via 4th round KO TKO. I'm not a financial advisor, but if I was putting a parlay down, I'm having Lerone Murphy, Dricus Du Plessis, and that is going to be some money for me, hopefully. Like I said, do not trust what I'm saying. I'm not no financial advisor, but like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.